We've obviously never seen anything remotely close to a foreign country gifting an American president a free, it's not really free to the taxpayer, by the way, $400 million luxury plane. But big oil-rich nations have been showering U.S. politicians with lavish gifts for decades. This goes way back. I mean, in 1985, Saudi Arabia gave Ronald Reagan a gold and enamel egg with a tiny bejeweled clock inside. You can see it right there on your screen. The country of Azerbaijan gifted the Clintons in 1997 a fancy rug emblazoned with their portraits on it. There you go. That's special. In 2008, Libya's leader Muammar Gaddafi gave Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice a massive diamond ring, massive, and a locket with an outline of the African continent and a picture of Gaddafi as a much, much younger man. You can see it there on your screen. It was well known he also had a bit of a crush on her, and it definitely shows with that gift. But government officials and even presidents don't get to keep those gifts unless they pay for them out of pocket. So unless Secretary Rice forked over a bunch of cash, she is not currently the owner of that massive diamond ring. It's the government's property. And the U.S. government can choose to donate, sell, or otherwise dispose of gifts like that if they see fit. Or they can be loaned out to presidential libraries. Now, I remember this all made me think about one particular trip back in 2009 when President Obama went to Saudi Arabia. And the king gave gifts, big ones, not just to the Obamas, but to several of his advisors, including Ben Rhodes, who wrote about it in his book, The World as It Is. And he wrote about what was waiting for him in his room on that trip when he returned from a day of meetings. Here's what he wrote. When I opened the door to my unit, I found a large suitcase. Inside were jewels. Now, pivotally, he explains, no one kept them. It feels like this White House, I think it's safe to say, is approaching things a little bit differently, but it felt worth discussing how this is supposed to work. So joining me now is Ben Rhodes, former Deputy National Security Advisor for President Obama, and someone I trust as much as anybody to explain foreign policy stuff like this and many other things. Okay, Ben, I was not on this trip. I do remember it well because I think it was sort of shocking to those of you who received these suitcases, this surprise suitcases of jewels and other things. And I remember you all wanting to kind of get as far away from it as possible. So I just want to start there because I think it helps explain how abnormal what we're seeing now is.
Yeah, Jen, I remember it well. It was one of the first trips we took overseas in 2009. I had not slept on the plane. I was working on a speech that President Obama gave in Cairo, which was a high-profile speech. And I come into this room I'm staying in. It was kind of like almost like a bungalow. And there's just a suitcase there right inside the door. And I open it, and it was full of these jewels kind of mounted on this suitcase. And for a minute, I kind of panicked because I thought, well, maybe they know I'm the speechwriter writing this high-profile speech he's giving to the world, and this is some kind of, extra special gift for me. But then I quickly found out that everybody had gotten these suitcases. And we were very quickly told by the state protocol office that helps plan these visits to just give them the suitcases. I think this thing was in my possession for, not even a night. And we were offered the opportunity to pay tens of thousands of dollars of our own money if we wanted to keep these things. We obviously didn't do that. And didn't even think about it. It wouldn't have even crossed my mind to kind of take some of these jewels and slide it in my bag. Little did I know that if it had been a $400 million plane, maybe I could have kept it, or maybe a $2 billion investment in my fund, as Jared Kushner got. But times seem to have changed.
It's quaint almost remembering these times. It was like a hot potato wanting to get rid of the suitcase of jewels back in the day.